Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Vasil from Built for Speed, and today we're working on my 2021 Yamaha Raptor to RSE. So, as many of you guys have seen probably, I did an install on the Empire exhaust. Since then I got the FCI intake, also got that installed, and the PC5 Power Commander 5 with the tune from Cuervo, this buddy right here. He's pretty well known in Raptor community, so that's where I got the tune from. And yeah, today we're gonna do stage 3 cam install. So I got the cams in here. I believe that's a hot cam, and I also got a gasket for the tensioner here, for the chain tensioner. So for this install, I believe I have to remove the plastics, the fuel tank, and then remove this cap, the cam cover, and then the valve covers on both sides, because I'm gonna have to double check the valve lash after I do the cam install. So today I'm gonna show you guys how to do the cam install on this. This is my first time doing it, so this can be kind of like a DIY, do it yourself at home one. So yeah, do my best, try to explain everything. I myself had to watch a few videos obviously, and but you know, those are professionals. This is gonna be more of like just me doing it at home, and kind of from a rider perspective, you know, not a professional. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, so you're pretty much gonna have to get your quad to about this state. So pull these plastics off, unplug your gear selector, and then all these front plastics, the fuel tank cover, the fuel tank. So it's pretty much bare, so you can get to this cover right here. To the front one, obviously you can get from the front here, so the back one. And then now we're gonna pull this plug right here, and make sure, and then pull this one and make sure the engine is top dead center, and then matches the I mark, because there's an H mark and an I mark on the flywheel. So we're gonna put it to the I mark, and then top dead center here, or a little bit maybe to the right, and then yeah, that's gonna be top dead center. And then after that we're gonna pull the cam out. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so now we set the engine top dead center here. There's an I mark, you will see an H and an I, so you set it at an I mark. There's a little notch right there, that's where you line up the I mark with. And then right here, as you guys can see, there's an, hold on, right there, there's that mark. It lines up with this notch up here. So you can see it's a little bit to the right, so that's top dead center. Or no, actually it's pretty straight, but anyways, yeah, that's top dead center. So now we're gonna take off the sprocket, which is these two bolts, and then we're gonna take off what do you call this, the balancer or whatever they call it. You're gonna take that off, and then we're gonna pop the cam out. Oh yeah, before you take that off, I forgot to tell you, take the tensioner bolt out with the spring, and then take the tensioner out. So the spring, the tensioner, it's spring loaded, so you insert that spring into here, into that hole, and then it pushes it out. It's automatic. And then to retract it, you need to reset it. When you take it out, you reset it. You press this button here like that, and you just push it in. It just slides right in, because when you insert the spring, it comes out, so it keeps tension on the chain. So this right here. So now we reset the tensioner, so that's all good now. Now we got all that off, and yeah, got the sprocket off. So now I'm going to take the sprocket out and just hang the chain on the side here. Also, another thing, on the balancer, there's that little notch right there. That notch goes right there in the center, in between those two little grooves right there. You see that groove right there in between those, right there on the cam. So you have to pull the bracket off. It's two 8mm bolts, and you kind of want to remember how this cam was positioned. So you see this on the left side, there's the upper pin, and on this one is the one on the right side, it's underneath. So these pins like that, so when you insert the new cam, that's how you kind of insert it, so you remember the position of the cam when it's top dead center. So, and then when you insert the thing also, it's up in the up position. So this bracket, yeah, I needed to pry the cam out. So you just grab one of the hex keys like that, and just put it underneath that right there, and just press it against the head, and it pops the cam out a little bit. and then you move the bracket from this position to this, and then just kind of carefully take it out, or use a magnet because it's really easy to lose and drop it into the engine. So yeah, just move it to this position right there, and just kind of carefully take it out. So now we're ready to slide out the cam. So the cam, I think this pin right here, there's this pin like that comes out. There's a set that right there, and then the cam, let's see here, let's try to pry it out just a little more. It should pop right out. Just it just came out quite a bit. There you go. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep prying like that. It's already halfway out, so and then it's gonna come out. Okay, so there's the old cam. The new one is gonna look very similar, but and then there's also a pin, so careful, don't lose that pin. We're gonna reuse that pin for the hot cam that we got. So gonna insert that pin into the new cam. The pin goes right there, you see that? Yeah, that's where the rod goes through. Yeah, so now we're gonna get the new cam out. So I just slid that pin out of the original one. This is the hot cam stage 3 cam. Pretty much looks identical. The only thing, the position of the lobes, that's the only difference you'll really notice if you look at it right there. This lobe is a little higher, and this lobe, actually this one is actually yeah, anyways, I don't know, it's probably, but yeah, definitely the lobes are in a little bit different positions. So I think it lets out more cold air and at higher RPM or something like that. So either way, that's it right there. And then the pin was slid in. So we're gonna get the rod and slide it in also with this round piece inwards. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna do that, and then insert it. So I'm gonna put some assembly lube or some oil on the bearing and then lobes, and then right here also, because this inserts into the bearing behind and and it goes kind of one way also. So there's notches here, so the cam kind of comes out in one way. There's a cutout right there and a cutout right there in the head for the cam, so the cam kind of goes in one way also, so it just inserts in there. So yeah, so now we're just gonna put some assembly lube on it or oil, and then try to insert it. So on the cam, when you kind of insert it, you just kind of put it in how much you can with your hands, and it's gonna kind of get stuck. So I got a hammer and just got a rubber piece where the handle is, and just kind of tap that in. It went right in. Really, you didn't have to do it even hard, just kind of tap it just a little bit and it slides right in. So yeah, now it's in there. So now I'm gonna just assemble everything. Assemble the sprocket. So I'm gonna put the sprocket, I'm gonna double check, make sure my top dead center is still top dead center here, and then try to assemble the sprocket so that it's a top dead center. And then also afterwards I'm gonna spin it around and double check, make sure everything's lined up before I do the full assembly. But I'm also gonna take off the valve covers and check the valve clearance to double check, make sure it's still okay. Okay, one thing I had to kind of do still, I had to pull it back a little bit, and then I have to put this cover back in. So I'm gonna put it the same way in, but on the bolts I'm gonna clean out those holes, and I'm gonna need to put some red Loctite on those bolts, because there was some Loctite on there right when I took it out. So you want to clean it out. If you got some alcohol, just spray just a tiny bit there so you have better grab. So yeah, I'm gonna clean those up with some red Loctite on those bolts, and then put the cover back in, and then slide the cam back in, and then yeah, and then start the assembly. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. That's both of those that line up the flywheel to that notch right there. And looking at this now, you see that little notch on top there, and this is lining up just maybe a teeny bit to the right, which is top dead center. So now we're good. Now I'm gonna put this mechanism back in. So I'm gonna have to make sure that notch right there lands right in between those right there in that groove, and then tighten everything up. I think it's 8 foot-pounds on these bolts around, but if you don't have a torque wrench, just kind of snug it up with your hand with the ratchet. You don't need to get it crazy tight, just snug it up. 8 pounds, not that much. I don't know if you'll see right there, but you see it's right there in between the notches. This moves right here. You see that moves, and I'm moving that mechanism there. So yeah, it's in between, so I got it in. So now I just got 2 bolts here and 2 bolts there to mount the sprocket. With the tensioner reset, it's all the way pushed in with the bubbly part down, I believe so, if I'm not mistaken. Goes like so, right there, just like that. Now we're just gonna start it. Anyways, I'm gonna tighten that and then put the bolt in, and yeah, and I'm gonna spin it around. I will check my timing if it's still good, and yeah, I'm gonna go and open up the valves and check the valve lash. Okay, so I put the quad in 3rd gear, raised the back with the jack. I'm just gonna spun the wheels until this went all the way 360 and back to where it's supposed to be, right there, lined up. And then we see the eye right there. If you can see it, we're lined up also. So we're good to put it on now. Put everything back together. So yeah, now I'm gonna just assemble, put the cap on, and then take the valve covers off and check the valve clearance. Okay, so we got the covers off. As you can see right there, you can see the valve. So on the intake side, on this side, we're gonna do 4,000, so 0.004, and on the exhaust side it needs to be 0.006, right there, thousandths. So that's what we're gonna set it at. 4 on the intake and a 0.006 on the exhaust side. So to adjust this, there's this locking screw, or nut, sorry. You untie the locking nut, and then inside of that goes there's a stud, or whatever you want to call it, that goes through the this mechanism here, the valve rod, or whatever you want to call it. And there's a little rod that you screw in, so you loosen the locking nut, and then it's like a square. You can screw it in with your finger. So what you want is, you want 4,000ths, and you want it to scrape like this. You want to have a little bit of drag on the filler gauge. Kind of like you want it to fit in there. Like this one is maybe a little bit on the tight side. I had to adjust it. It was really loose when I did the cams. So, and you need to make sure your quad obviously is top dead center still. So which is mine is, you can see right there. It's top dead center. And yeah, and then with the filler gauge, you just go in there. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. It's right there. Hold on, let me see. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. I'm trying to show it to you guys. Right there. You hear that? It's kind of has some drag, and you feel it. It's kind of like it drags. That's what you want. Same thing on that side. Right there. See, it goes in. There's some drag there too. So that one is, these two are good. So now I'm gonna just tighten this locking nuts on both of the valves, and double check it again after I tighten it to make sure it didn't mess it up. So yeah. Okay, so I'm really picky on how tight this is. So like, this is a 6,000ths, so I got it to where you can barely get it in there, and it's like it slides very, like it has quite a bit of drag. Like, I mean, you can still slide it in, but it has good drag. So this way I know like 7,000ths probably would not fit in there. 6,000ths gets really tight. So yes, you spend a little bit more time, which I did, to get it dialed in and locked in with the locking nut. But I got it pretty much perfect. The exhaust side on 6,000ths, where it kind of has quite a bit of drag, and it fits perfectly. And same thing on the inside. I got 4,000ths, so 0.004 on the intake side and 0.006 on the exhaust side. So now I got it perfect. Now I'm, you know, this was top dead center. Now I'm able to just close everything up and then assemble all the plastics, and we're done. Okay, so we got everything assembled, all the covers on. I just usually get these covers snug, the valve covers and then the cam cover, and then also don't forget on this lower bolt on the cam, on exhaust cam cover, on the lower bolt there's this hanger that holds the these wires. I think these are parking brake, and then one is a clutch wire, what do you call it, string or cord or whatever, but yeah, he holds both of these, and from, you know, touching the exhaust and all that. So yeah, got it all down. Now we can go ahead and put this cover back on, just like that right there. That's how it was right there. Rubber back on, and then now we're gonna put a fuel tank on and put everything else, all the plastics, back on it. Okay, got the fuel pump plugged in, everything, got the 2 bolts mounted here, 2 bolts here in the front, and then put this cover clip in. Now we're gonna put the big piece of plastic on and bolt it up. So I almost forgot to record the ending when I put everything together. So yeah, everything's together. I put everything together, and I also flashed my PC5. I got a new tune file from Cuervo Racing. You can find him right there. You search him up, you can find him. He's pretty popular, like I said, in the Raptor 700 community. For the FCI intake, dual exhaust, and a stage 3 cam, and then the AIS delete I have. So now it's tuned. I flashed it. Let me show you guys how it sounds. Sounds good. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, comment in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you have any questions about the Raptor or how I did something or any other questions, just comment in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, it helps my channel out. I'll try to do as much videos as possible. Maybe I'll go riding or racing at the dunes. I'll record some videos with the Raptor, and you know, make some interesting videos. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and as usual, see ya next time.